What if the most important archaeological discovery wasn't gold, temples, or lost civilizations, but a quiet, fragile bone, whispering a truth that rewrites everything we thought we knew about the human story? Deep in the soil of forgotten lands, scientists have unearthed something revolutionary. A treasure of wealth, but a treasure of meaning. A discovery that doesn't just ask us to rethink history, but to reimagine what it truly means to be human. For decades, our ancestors were painted as brutal survivors. We believed they lived by one law: only the strongest survive. The weak were left behind. The sick couldn't last. But recent scientific breakthroughs are cracking that myth open. What if buried in ancient bones, there was proof that compassion is older than civilization itself? It began quietly with DNA, not myths. In labs across Europe, researchers began to analyze thousands of ancient human remains, using a new genetic tool that could detect the faint signature of something unexpected, an extra chromosome. More specifically, chromosome 21, the genetic marker for Down syndrome. For the first time, scientists could do what bone analysis alone never allowed: confirm that individuals with this condition lived on, in some cases, were loved thousands of years ago. This wasn't just a scientific milestone. It was a moral mirror, reflecting a part of humanity long forgotten. Among the first shocks came from a cave in eastern Spain, Covinagra. Hidden within disturbed layers of sediment, researchers found a skull fragment the size of a coin, belonged to a child nicknamed Tina by scientists. But what CT scans revealed was astounding. Tina's inner ear bones showed multiple abnormalities. The evidence was clear. This child had Down syndrome. And yet, Tina lived until the age of 6. Let that settle in. 6 years. In a harsh Neanderthal world where survival depended on mobility, sharp senses, and constant migration, Tina suffered from profound hearing loss, vertigo, and severe balance issues.
Ow.
She couldn't walk far unaided. She couldn't hear predators or commands. Her every movement would have required care. In any cold evolutionary equation, she should not have survived. But she did. Why? Because someone, perhaps many someones, cared enough to carry her, guide her, protect her. This wasn't just parental instinct. Anthropologists believe the entire group supported her survival. This suggests something far deeper than biology. It points to altruism, the kind of love and patience that scientists once believed only modern humans possessed. But the mystery didn't end with Tina. A new chapter began with DNA samples from ancient tombs across Europe. From the windswept fields of Ireland to the sun-baked stone of Greece, researchers identified more cases. One of the oldest came from a 5,500-year-old Neolithic tomb in Ireland. There, a 6-month-old boy with Down syndrome was laid to rest. But the clues didn't stop at genetics. The burial itself spoke volumes. In Iron Age Spain, archaeologists made a discovery that sent chills through the scientific community. Opal infants with chromosomal conditions, Down syndrome, and even Edwards syndrome had been given elite burials. They weren't cast aside. They weren't forgotten. In a time when cremation was the norm, these children were buried whole, often inside homes or ceremonial structures. One grave even included Mediterranean seashells and bronze rings, items of high symbolic value. Why? Why honor children who couldn't contribute to survival? That question unlocks the heart of this story, because these children, these fragile, dependent individuals, were chosen. Chosen not just for care, but for meaning. Their presence mattered. Their lives, however short, were seen as worthy of honor. On the Greek island of Ina, a 12-month-old girl with Down syndrome was found buried with an elaborate necklace, 93 beads in total, made of glass paste and carnelian. For a moment, forget the science. Picture the scene. A grieving mother threading each bead, a community gathering to lay her child to rest with grace and dignity. This wasn't survival instinct. This was love. And the evidence doesn't stop there. In prehistoric Italy, the Romeo to skeleton, a young adult with severe dwarfism, survived well into his late teens. In Israel, a child with hydrocephalus, a life-threatening condition, lived to age 3. Every one of these cases adds to a growing truth. Prehistoric people didn't just survive, they cared. They helped. They made room for those who needed more. But perhaps the most haunting part of this discovery is what it implies about us today. We like to think of empathy and inclusion as modern virtues, as signs of progress, as things we invented. But what if these traits weren't born from cities, religions, or laws? What if they're hardwired into our species, buried deeper than any temple or treasure? The story of these ancient children says something profound. It says that long before hospitals or wheelchairs or schools for the disabled, humans had already chosen to embrace the vulnerable. They didn't just carry spears. They carried each other. Still, questions remain. Why were so many cases found in Iron Age Spain? Is it due to better preservation, or did these people have a uniquely inclusive culture? And where are the adults with Down syndrome? So far, the remains show mostly infants and toddlers. Does this mean they rarely live to adulthood, or have we simply not found the right bones yet? Scientists are racing to find answers. With new techniques being developed every year, more ancient remains are being scanned, sequenced, and reanalyzed. With every skull, every tooth, every fragile vertebra, they uncover new whispers from the past. What they're finding isn't just about disability, it's about identity. We've long believed that evolution favored strength, speed, intelligence. But maybe, just maybe, the true strength of our species is something else entirely. Compassion. The willingness to carry someone slower, to bury someone gently, to beat a necklace for a child who never spoke a word. And as this research continues, it's reshaping not only our view of history, but of ourselves. When we look at Tina, we don't just see a Neanderthal child. We see proof that kindness isn't modern, it's ancient. That humanity didn't begin with civilization. It began with connection. So the next time someone says that caring for the vulnerable is unnatural, tell them about Tina. Tell them about the beads in Greece, the bronze rings in Spain, the Irish tomb buried in silence for 5,500 years. Tell them that our ancestors didn't just build tools, they built communities with space for everyone. In the end, this may be the most important archaeological discovery of all, not that Down syndrome existed in prehistory, but that human kindness did. That when faced with the choice to abandon or embrace, our earliest ancestors chose to love, and in that choice, they left behind more than bones.